Hola clase, hoy vamos a hacer artículos definidos y indefinidos, definite and indefinite articles. So this definitely is going to be probably one of our more drier lessons that we've had so far. But in order to get the bigger picture, it's really important to understand how you get there. And this part also will allow you to see where you need to focus on your vocabulary. A lot of the vocabulary that was introduced in Module 1, you are going to see in this lesson, the next lesson. And so remember, you need to see a word and hear a word 7 times before you memorize it. So are you putting those couple extra minutes in to be able to use your vocabulary in these lessons? Obviously, knowing vocab is a huge part of putting the language together. So if you haven't already, take a couple minutes to get your list out. It'll make this lesson a lot easier. Pero antes, vamos a practicar las capitales. Estamos en Perú. La capital de Perú? Lima. Excelente. Lima, Perú. Muy bien. ¿Qué país? What country? Recuerda que las islas de Galápagos son parte de este país. So the Galapagos Islands are part of this country and also means equator. Ecuador. ¿Y la capital de Ecuador? Quito. Excelente. ¿Qué país? It's really the only country that's Spanish-speaking country besides the one next to it, Paraguay, that is landlocked. It has dos capitales. Bolivia, muy bien. ¿Y las capitales de Bolivia? La Paz y el Sucre, muy bien. ¿Cuál es la capital? ¿Dónde estamos? Argentina, muy bien. It's like one of the largest ones down here at the bottom. ¿Y la capital? Buenos Aires. Muy bien. La última, Paraguay. You just heard me say this. Paraguay, it's next to Bolivia. ¿Y la capital de Paraguay? Asunción. Bueno, con el repaso. Okay, continuamos un poquito. So in our last lesson, we really were talking about tapas, la vida española, the Spanish lifestyle, and how it's so different than our lifestyle in America. But what's so interesting really about the Spanish lifestyle, which I find to be most interesting, is even though they drink more wine and smoke more cigarettes and are taking naps, they actually are living longer than us, and they're about to surpass the Japanese in longevity. So I believe the Spanish are living on average 86 years. They're going to surpass the Japanese, who live to 85 years, right? So they obviously have a very good quality of life. I believe ours is in the mid to low 70s, and so not only are they enjoying life more, they're living 10 years longer to enjoy that life. So what we're going to watch now is just a video on why the Spanish are the healthiest in the world.
3 reasons why Spain is the healthiest country in the world. Number 1, Spaniards are famous for their version of the Mediterranean diet, which emphasizes olive oil, fish, nuts, and legumes, and less processed meats and baked goods. Number 2, Spain is home to the highest percentage of walkers in Europe. At least 3 out of 4 Spaniards walk for 10 minutes at a time, 4 out of the 7 days a week, higher than any other country in Europe. And number 3, dinner isn't the largest meal. Most Spaniards don't eat until 9 at night, but the key to the last meal, it's not a large one. Most calories are consumed during the lunch hour.
So again, just to reiterate, we eat our largest meal typically at the end of the day and usually aren't too active after that. The Spanish eat their largest meal in the middle of the day. And so this allows them to digest that, allows them to burn that off. And so that allows them to be healthier as well. And so really interesting to see this. I hope you guys continue to think about La Vida Española. One of the reasons I love languages is that it introduced me to these different ideas about how life can be lived and what is possible. And so, just something to think about how we can enhance our lifestyles with quality, not quantity. So when you get a chance, definitely, I'm going to post this down below. I'm not going to show it right now. But it really speaks volumes about our culture and how working and not taking vacations is more important than vacationing. And honestly, I'd rather just vacation and not work. So I'm definitely going to place it underneath there. But I show this to my classes in person and have this discussion about the stereotypes of Americans in this video are on full display. And so just check it out on your old time. Let me know if you have any opinions on it. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so what we're going to do today, if you guys get out your cheat sheet, nouns, articles, gender, and number. So en español, in Spanish, nouns identify people, places, things, and ideas, and they are either masculine or feminine gender. All nouns in Spanish have gender, though there is often no obvious logic explaining the gender of a noun. Definite articles, el, la, los, las, and indefinite articles, un, una, unos, or unas, must agree in gender and number with the noun they accompany. So if this all sounds like mumbo jumbo to you, don't worry. I'm going to make sure I clarify what this means, but a good jumpstart is just memorizing your vocabulario. So when you guys go to do your vocab, in front of it, a lot of times it'll say el café, el lápiz, el bolígrafo, la clase. And so memorize the word with the indefinite or definite article in front of it, and it'll be a lot easier for you to know whether it's masculine or feminine. So in the English language, we do have masculine and feminine words. So for example, host would be a masculine word. The feminine of host would be hostess, actor, actress. Okay, so it does exist for us. Waiter, waitress, man, woman. So we do have words that sometimes align with masculine or feminine. It's not as popular with our nouns that they be masculine or feminine, but in French and Spanish and German and Italian, they often have masculine words and feminine words. So does Spanish. So the masculino, el profesor. La femenina of el profesor would be la profesora. La femenina de el chico, la chica. La femenina del mesero, la mesera. El hombre, which is man, la mujer, woman. El mesero would be waiter. Waitress, la mesera is waitress. So these are your definite articles. You guys have a little space on your paper to write them. El is the masculine singular. La is the feminine singular. Los is the masculine plural. Las is the feminine plural. Your indefinite article. So remind you, your definite articles are the. Also, they can mean these or those, depending on the context, okay? Indefinite articles are un, una, unos, unas. Un is masculine singular. Una is feminine singular. Unos is masculine plural. Unas is feminine plural. So when we go to put sentences together, everything has to agree with each other. And don't worry, I'll be sure to show you. But it's not something that we practice necessarily in English. So most nouns, ending in O, refer to male beings. So everything I tell you, there's always going to be exception to, but for the most part, if a noun ends in O, it's going to be masculine. And here what I'm talking about is your vocabulario de capítulo uno. We're going to be using a lot of your vocab. El cuaderno, notebook. El libro, book, el chico. These are all masculino. Why? Because they end in an O. So that means the definite article in front of them is going to be el. Let's make these plural. If I'm going to make these words plural, meaning more than one, el needs to change to los. And I need to add s's to the end. So el cuaderno is going to become los cuadernos. Okay, so I changed the el to los, and then I added an s. El libro is going to change to los libros. The book, these books. or the book, the books. Okay, depending on contexto, on context. El chico, los chicos. The boy, the boys. So notice how you do that. With an O, it's easy, you just add an S. These are just your indefinite articles. Okay, so instead of saying the folder, I'm saying a folder, un cuaderno, un libro, un chico. Un, in order to make that plural, we would change to unos. Unos cuadernos, some folders. Unos libros, some books. Unos chicos, some boys. Many nouns ending in L, N, R, and S are masculine. Por ejemplo, el papel ends in a L, so it's masculino. El fin ends in a N, so it's masculine. Because all words aren't going to end in O or A. So what are their genders if that is not the case? So anything that ends in L, N, R, and S are masculine. El amor, which is love. El mes. ¿Qué es un mes? Enero, febrero, marzo, abril, junio, julio, agosto. That's right, a month. So el mes means month. Many nouns that end in MA, PA, or TA are masculine. El problema, right? So that word ends in MA, so it's masculine. This will be confusing in a second. El mapa is map, ends in PA. El atleta ends in TA. Problem, map, athlete. So anything that ends in ma, pa, or ta is going to be masculine. Nouns that refer to male beings are masculine. El hombre, man. El chico, boy. El muchacho, boy. El señor, mister. Most nouns ending in A are nouns that refer to female beings. So I just told you words that end in MA, TA, and PA are masculine. This is where it's complicated. So there are always rules, but there's always exceptions to rules. And that's why Spanish can be un poco complicado, pero no pasa nada. No big deal. So most end in A are feminine. Okay, so we have three more vocabulary words. La mesa, la mochila, and la chica. So if it's feminine, then your definite article is going to be la. La mesa is table, la mochila is backpack, la chica is girl. La, in order to make this plural, all you need to do is add an ese, an S. La becomes las. So la mesa, las mesas. The table, the tables. La mochila, las mochilas. La chica, las chicas. Okay, la mochila, backpack, the backpacks. Girl, the girls. Again, doing the same thing, but with an indefinite article. Una mesa, a table. Una mochila, a backpack. Una chica, a girl. Una would become unas if you want to make that plural. So una mesa would become unas mesas. Perfecto. Una mochila. Unas mochilas. Muy bien. Una chica. Unas chicas. Muy bien. And otra vez, es mucho vocabulario. It's a lot of vocab. So if you don't know the vocabulario, it does make it a little bit more challenging, but not imposible. In addition, nouns ending in ION and D are usually feminine. La acción, la televisión, la ciudad, la universidad. And that's why I say it's just better when you get the vocab list to memorize the definite article that is in front of the word. I usually use memorization if I can't remember, or I'll say it out loud. So for example, ciudad. If I said to you, ¿cuál es la capital de México? You're going to say la ciudad de México. La capital de Guatemala. La ciudad de Guatemala. La capital de Panama. La ciudad de Panama, right? So then that's what I would say, like, oh yeah, it's feminine if I forgot, right? So a lot of times that works if I say it out loud and it doesn't sound right. Now, if you speak to somebody and you accidentally, make it feminine instead of positive or feminine instead of masculine, the person is still going to understand you. It might just sound a little bit off. And so your point is going to get across. So don't get hung up on it. It just is a lot of practice to get where you're going. And it's not going to be detrimental to getting your point across if you do make that mistake. Nouns that refer to female beings are female, la mujer, la chica, la muchacha, la señora, woman, girl, Mrs. or Mrs. or ma'am is a señora. Nouns that refer to people. Okay, for nouns ending in O, the feminine is formed by changing the O to an A. So el compañero de clase, go ahead, take a second and make that completely feminine. Exacto, la compañera de clase, which means your classmate. Un amigo would become una amiga. Usually when a masculine noun ends in a consonant, the feminine is formed by adding an A after the final consonant. So un profesor. If we're going to make this femenina, we need to make the un feminine and the profesor feminine. So it would be una profesora. Una profesora. Un francés. La femenina. Una francesa. Comment s'appelle le homme français? What's the Frenchman's name? ¿Cómo te llamas el hombre francés? ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama el hombre francés? Se llama Pierre. Pierre, c'est un nom bien. Pierre is a good French name. ¿Cómo se llama la chica francesa? Il s'appelle Marie. Se llama Marie. I'm just having fun. Just giving you some French names. For nouns ending in ante or ista, the same form is used for both masculine and feminine. The definite and indefinite article, as well as the context, will clarify the gender of the person. El estudiante. Ante is not going to change, so it would just be la estudiante. Doesn't matter. Un artista. Una artista. So ¿cómo se llaman los artistas famosos en la foto? ¿Cómo se llaman los artistas famosos en la foto? What are the name of these famous artists? Los dos eran mexicanos. They were both Mexican. And they were husband and wife, esposo y esposa. So maybe the one on the right is standing out more to you. That's Frida Kahlo. She didn't actually become famosa until after she passed away, unfortunately. But this is her esposo, who was super famoso, Diego Rivera. Diego Rivera. He was famous for so many things, but one of the things he was also famous for was always cheating on his wife, Frida. And I think one of the last persons he cheated on her with was her sister. So there's really deep, tumultuous relationship as well. So if you've ever seen the movie Frida, or if you haven't, check it out. It is so good. She's an incredible artist. Her husband is what was as well, but he's quite a toad. Okay. Nouns ending in E don't follow any rule, and their gender needs to be memorized. So this is what I was talking about. Again, if you get your list, don't even worry about, whether it's masculine or feminized. Just memorize el café, and you'll know that it's masculine. So that comes in handy in this case when they end in E and can be masculine or feminine. So again, if I can't remember if it's masculine or feminine, I'd be like, el clase de matemáticas, la clase de matemáticas. I'll usually say it out loud and be like, I think this one sounds like it fits. Does that always work? No. But just ways to try to memorize. So some common nouns are irregular and don't follow the rules. The gender of these nouns need to be memorized. El día, la mano, right? And so this is opposite of those rules I just told you. La mano means hand. I still say el mano. It is so hard for me to change that one. And so Again, have grace with yourself. Life isn't perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to get your point across. Nouns that end in a vowel from the plural by adding s. Quaderno would become cuadernos. We practice that. This one we haven't. If it ends in a consonant, if it's an R, then we need to add es. So mujer would become mujeres. Lapis would become lapise. So anything that ends with a Z changes to a C, and then you add es. Ooh la la, that is complicado, right? So many small rules on top of having to learn vocabulario, on top of having to do 3 or 4 other classes, on top of having to do a job. So there is a lot. Make sure you are patient. Make sure you are dedicated to yourself, that you are showing up for yourself, that you have the discipline. It definitely can get hard depending on what time of the semester is, but don't feel overwhelmed. You can do it. If I can do it, then you can definitely do it. I promise you. Okay, on y va. Let's go. So the last thing I'm going to talk to you tonight is this movement, which just recently happened a couple of years ago with the evolution of language. And that's, again, languages are always evolving. If you think about how we spoke English 100 years ago, it doesn't even compare to how we speak today. Many of those words we don't even use. We speak more informally. And so one of the things that languages, as they evolve, are trying to work with is that because there's only masculine or feminine words and nouns, there's no way to be non-binary. So there was a movement that was started in Argentina that, niño would be the masculine, niña is feminine, but if you do want to have a gender added to it, you could say niñe. So they started adding e to the ends of nouns just to eliminate that. Like, it's not necessary. Now, mind you, I'm totally fine with this, but it definitely takes me a little bit more effort. I've spent years memorizing O's and A's and trying to speak this language, or ask somebody that spoke the language for 70 years to change their habits. It can be challenging. Impossible? No. So this is something that has definitely come about in the last couple of years, and it's a movement that started in Argentina. So they add E to the end of their nouns to be non-binary. So they're not masculine and they're not feminine, okay? So chico would be the masculine, chica the feminine, chique would be the non-binary. Él, ella, ella. Nosotros, nosotras, nosotres. Okay? So just an example that I'm throwing out to you, how language evolves, how it changes, how it goes in different places and directions, how it can influence to have a better lifestyle, like the quality of the Spanish lifestyle. So many things to be influenced and inspired by. And I will leave you on that note. Que tenga buen día. I hope you have a great day. Nos vemos pronto. We'll see each other soon. Ciao.